If I had known that pulling a stranger out of the rain that night would change my life forever, maybe, just maybe, I would have let her pass. Because that night, I didn't just save a girl. I opened the door to a world of wealth, lies, and a love so heavy it almost drowned me. My name is Chike, and for as long as I could remember, my life had been small, not in the sense that it lacked meaning, but in the way that the horizon of my world was marked by the rusted zinc roofs of Umidike village. I was a teacher at St. Peter's Primary School, a job that paid just enough to keep Gary in my cupboard and soap by my basin. Every morning, I would wake before the roosters, boil a kettle of water over a small charcoal stove, and iron my only 2 decent shirts with the same iron my late father had used. Life was predictable. My pupils came with dusty feet, their exercise books dog-eared, their laughter loud. I loved them, even if their parents sometimes forgot to pay school fees. But the truth, I was tired. Tired of seeing my mother's hands crack from farm work. Tired of pretending that poverty was character building. Tired of the ache in my chest every time I passed the rich men's compounds in town and saw their daughters drive by in shiny cars, their perfume trailing in the air like a promise I could never touch. It was on a night like any other, or so I thought, that my life cracked open. It had rained that evening, the kind of stubborn rain that refuses to stop even when the clouds are tired. I had stayed late at the school marking compositions under the dim light of a kerosene lantern. By the time I stepped onto the narrow footpath leading home, the world was soaked and humming with the sound of frogs. That was when I saw her. She was standing under the crooked mango tree by the roadside, her hair plastered to her head, shivering in a way that made my chest tighten. She didn't belong here, I could tell by the fine cut of her clothes, now soaked, and the way her sandals looked like they had never touched mud before. "Are you alright?" I asked, slowing down. She hesitated, then nodded quickly, but her eyes told a different story. Her gaze darted toward the dark road behind her, as if she was running from something. I didn't know what made me say it, but the words left my mouth before I could stop them. "Come. My house is not far. You'll fall sick if you stay here." She didn't argue. My house was a single-room mud building with a small table, a bed, and a bookshelf full of worn textbooks. I found her wrapper and told her to change in the corner while I boiled water for tea. She didn't speak much, only whispered her name, Ada. When she finally sat, wrapped in my old wrapper, I noticed her hands. Soft. Unworked. Nails perfectly shaped. No village girl had nails like that. "Where are you from?" I asked. She looked down. "It's complicated. I just needed to get away for a while." I didn't press further. We drank tea in silence, and when the rain finally stopped, she said she'd find her way home. I walked her to the main road, but before she left, she turned to me and said something I never forget. "Chike, you've just saved my life." I didn't see Ada again for weeks. Life went back to its slow rhythm, and I convinced myself she had been nothing more than a passing rain cloud. Until one afternoon, a black SUV stopped in front of the school gates. Out stepped Ada. But this time, she wasn't the shivering girl in my wrapper, she was glowing in a tailored dress, diamond earrings catching the sun. Behind her stood 2 men in dark suits. "Chike," she smiled, "I came to see you." The children gasped. I froze. That day, I learned the truth. Ada was the only daughter of Chief Emeka Okafor, one of the richest men in the state. Her getting away that night had been a rebellion against the marriage her father was trying to arrange with the son of a business partner. I wanted to tell her that she shouldn't have come, that her word and mine were like oil and water, but my words got lost in her laughter. She visited often after that. Sometimes she brought books for my pupils. Other times, she simply sat under the mango tree with me, talking about life beyond the village. When she told me she loved me, I thought it was a joke. I was the son of a farmer, a man with nothing but a chalkboard to his name. But Ada didn't care. The day her father found out was the day my peace ended. Chief Emeka summoned me to his mansion. I had never seen gates so tall. His voice was deep, his eyes sharp like a hawk's. "Stay away from my daughter," he said simply. "Name your price." I'll pay it. But stay away. I told him I wasn't for sale. He laughed, a short, cold laugh. You'll regret this, boy. The months that followed were war. My pupil's parents began whispering that I was using charm on the rich man's daughter. Men followed me home at night. My landlord suddenly decided to double my rent. But Ada fought harder than I did. She refused to marry the man her father chose. She threatened to leave home entirely. And one hot Sunday afternoon, she showed up at my mother's doorstep with a small bag and said, "I'm staying." We had a small wedding, no more than 20 people. My friends said I was the luckiest man alive. But I soon learned that marrying a billionaire's daughter wasn't a fairy tale, it was stepping into a storm. Her father cut her off. We lived on my meager teacher's salary, Ada learning for the first time how to cook over a charcoal stove, how to fetch water from the stream, how to mend her own clothes. And yet, those were the happiest months of my life. We would sit outside at night, counting stars and dreaming of a life where her father would forgive us. But forgiveness didn't come. Instead, disaster did. One evening, Ada collapsed in the kitchen. I rushed her to the clinic, where the doctor told me she was pregnant but dangerously anemic. She needed proper care I couldn't afford. Swallowing my pride, I went to her father's mansion. I begged. I told him his grandchild's life was at risk. He stared at me for a long time, then sighed. "You win, Chike. Bring her home." The day Ada returned to her father's house, she wept in my arms. I promised I'd visit every day. But something changed. The gates were always locked, the guards unfriendly. Weeks passed without seeing her. Then, one morning, a letter arrived. "Chike, I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. My father was right. Our words are too different." It felt like my heart was being wrung out. Months later, I saw her face on a magazine cover, Ada, holding a baby boy, standing beside her father at a charity gala. She looked radiant, but her eyes were empty. People say I should hate her. But I don't. Because once, for a brief time, we had something real. Something no money could buy. And maybe that's the lesson, that sometimes, love is enough for the moment it lasts, even if it can't survive the world outside.